Hi Year 3 and welcome back to our third lesson in our topic fossils and extinct animals. I'm just going to share my screen so we can get started. Fantastic. So last lesson we started to discuss how do we know about these animals that are extinct, and we looked at the top line and we realised that actually a lot of those animals unfortunately have been made extinct in the last few hundred years. So there's lots of documentation and some photos, films, drawings of those animals. So that's how we know about those. Then we looked at the row below, and these animals have been extinct for quite a long time. So how do we know about those animals and others that have been extinct for millions of years, such as the dinosaurs? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to have a little think about how we know about those extinct animals. And last lesson we came up with 3 key ways that we know about these extinct animals. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to either have a think, jot it down if you've got a piece of paper, or if there's someone else learning with you today, you can have a quick chat. Well done, Year 3. Okay, so we talked about that sometimes animals get frozen in the ground and then we are able to find things such as their bones. Last lesson we focused on cave paintings and carvings because some of those extinct animals were alive at the same time as human beings. So there is some very old documentation of animals such as mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. But what about the animals that have been extinct for a very long time? That is where we need to turn to fossils to find out about them. And that is what we are going to be looking at today. So again, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to have a think, jot down on your piece of paper or have a quick chat. What is a fossil? What is a fossil? Excellent, Year 3. So, a fossil is the preserved remains or traces of a dead organism. The process by which a fossil is formed is called fossilization, and today we're going to be looking at that process. So it takes at least 10,000 years for a fossil to be formed. So, as I said, we're going to be looking at the process today, and it's quite complicated. So we've broken it down into 6 key phases of that process. So the first one is you start with a living creature. OK, so a living creature, as you can see, there's a little animal living in that shell there. When that living creature dies, the soft parts of that creature, okay, so for example, the skin or the muscle, decays and rots away, leaving only the hard parts, so usually the skeleton or the shell of that creature. So that's the second one. So we've got the first one, we have a living animal. The second one, the second part is that living creature dies, and what's left after a while is the hard part of that creature, the shell or the skeleton. So over time, this gets buried by small particles of rock called sediments. Now, we only find fossils in a particular type of rock. Can you think back, Year 3, to your topic last half term when you were looking at rocks and soils? What type of rock do you think we can find fossils in? Well done if you remembered the type of rock that is built up over time by lots of rock sediments. Okay, and it's called sedimentary rock. Well done if you remembered that. Okay, so this is the third part of the process. So that bone or shell gets buried by small particles of rock called sediments. Excellent. So, over time, those sediments are compacted into hard layers of rock. And here we can see in this sedimentary rock, you can see really clearly in the picture, those layers of rock. So around your bones or your shell that's left is hard rock. That's really important to remember. So your skeleton or your shells will be surrounded by this hard sedimentary rock, which over a long time, could be thousands or even millions of years, have compacted on top of the skeleton or the shell. Now, over even more time, the skeleton or shell gets broken down and the space where it was is replaced by minerals. Okay. And then these minerals harden, they get hard. So instead of a bone of the skeleton, now we have rock minerals that have formed in that same place that the skeleton or shell was. So it's still got that same shape of the skeleton, so we would still be able to see it, but it isn't a skeleton anymore. It's been replaced by these minerals, and these again over time harden. All right, and then you are left, this is essentially where you are left with a fossil underground. And the final bit is us finding these fossils. So again, over time, the rock erodes, so it gets broken down by wind and rain and other things, and it reveals the fossil, which again is no longer the bone or the shell, but is made up of minerals that have hardened over time. Okay, so remember, this process takes at least 10,000 years. Sometimes the fossils that we're finding, for example, the fossils of dinosaurs, they're at least 65 million years old. Okay, so it can be from tens of thousands of years old, these fossils, or up to millions of years old, those ones that we are finding. So your activity today is to order these events, these 6 events, draw and explain the fossilization process. So here are the 6 events, the 6 key things that happen in this process, and you need to put them in the right order, explaining what happens. You can explain in your own words, or you can use the words that I have used. I'm also on your worksheet going to put a link to a BBC bite-sized video that you can watch, which also explains it, so you can use that to help you. You can set it out how you would like, but this is how I have set mine out. So I know that there are 6 processes, so I've divided my paper into 6 parts. I've then drawn my picture of my living creature, because that's the first process, and then underneath I've written a description of what's happening. Right, I'm going to give you 20 seconds to have a think, jot down or speak to the person next to you who can remember what the second process in fossilization is. Well done. So the second process was that this living creature dies and the soft parts of the creature, so its skin and its muscles, for example, will start to decompose. All right, so that all that's left is the hard parts, so maybe the skeleton or the shell. Okay, so in my second box here, I might draw a picture of a skeleton to show that that's all that's left and explain what has happened between this living creature and now the skeleton. Excellent. Well done, Year 3. Fantastic work. So we just looked at the first two processes there, and obviously you've got to do all 6. So you need to put them in the right order, draw a picture to represent each phase in the process. And you can watch the BBC Bite-Size video, re-watch this video, do your own research on the internet if you would like. And you can obviously use your own words or use the words that I have used. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing your work uploaded on Seesaw, because I've really enjoyed looking at the work that you have uploaded so far. Right, I will see you next week, Year 3. Bye.